This is Alice B. Wilder, and welcome to another live chat for Sexual Health Awareness Week. This week, I have Rhianna on from Bottled Up Bitches podcast, and I'm going to get awesome. I hope you're all having a great Friday. I have been having so much fun doing these live chats this week. It has been really cool having different people on the channel to chat with. Normally, it's like just me in like the Naked series, and that's really much more like just me, talking about stuff. But it's been so cool to have the dynamic and like have another person or a couple people to throw ideas around with and just have these conversations to create space for sexual health awareness. Let's see. Just a second here. Awesome. Some technical difficulties as per usual. Hello, hello. I hope everyone's having a great Friday. Yeah, so like this past week, I had 2 chats so far, and we did a chat with Claire and Kale, who are doing the Sensual Alchemy Retreat in Costa Rica. And then on Wednesday, I did a live chat with Michelle and Sarah, who do a Vulva Confidence workshop in San Diego, which was super cool to talk about. Just the idea of like a whole room full of women like masturbating together. I don't know, it seems really powerful to me. I don't know if it's powerful to anybody else, but. And I cannot get Rhianna in here. Let's see.
I don't know if I did this
There
right.
you are. It's you. Happy Friday. You look fabulous.
Thank you. Happy Friday to you.
Thanks. It's like a no makeup, like very chilled out kind of day, and I'm like getting ready for my period to arrive, so it's just like full on PMS all week. But it's a good time to like dig in and have these kinds of chats, I think, because of it.
Absolutely. I'm also about to start my period, so I've been crying all the happy tears and the sad tears. Like I cried over getting the other day, and I was like, so good. I was very excited. Well, to the people here, my name is Rhianna. I'm the host of the Bottled Up Bitches podcast, which is a sex positive podcast conversation. So nice to meet
Hell yeah.
everyone.
And it is a pleasure to have you over here. I was on your podcast not that long ago, and we had such a great conversation. And I was like, let's keep this going because it was so much fun to talk with you and Adam as well. Like really cool vibes that you have going on over there. So this week and this kind of beginning of these live chats, I think I might keep them going because it's been really good so far. But the whole idea is just to have open conversations about sex in whatever way it is, like educational or just like between friends, and just keep it open so that we can have that conversation and that space. So, so I wanted to know a little bit about you and how you started podcasting and like what it's been like for you to start a sex positive podcast, because literally sex positive conversation is your thing.
It is. It all started with a friend. So originally the podcast was started with a friend, and my husband, who is now my co-host, he was like, wow, these are really great conversations. Like him just hearing us talk shit in the living room about everything. He's like, people need to hear this. And I've always been very similar. I feel like I often make people uncomfortable. Love that for me. But it's because I don't want to say I don't have a filter. I'm like, this is normal stuff. Like
Mhm.
I know I've spoken about this on the podcast before, but I've had a friend who was uncomfortable when I asked for her recommendation of a gynecologist because I just moved here to Austin. And I was like, "Oh, you've lived here your whole life. Who do you go to? I need a gynecologist." And she thought that was way too personal. And I was like, "Okay, like I'm sorry I made you uncomfortable. To me, this is just like a nail salon recommendation or a hair salon recommendation. I want to go somewhere where they're going to take care of me and so I'm going to ask someone I know."
Right.
So I've always considered myself like an unofficial sexpert. I just want to have conversations amongst friends. I want everyone. I feel like that's the starting point. If you can have hard or uncomfortable conversations and normalizing it with just your friend group, then that's going to
Hmm.
go bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, no wonder we can't have these conversations in schools. We can't have these conversations, goodness forbid, in the government, like, because no one has those conversations at home or with people that they do trust and love. So that's kind of what I attribute everything to. Is like, I feel like I'm the stepping stone to everything else for sex because you need to be able to have it with people you love or people you enjoy.
Totally. Totally. So maybe this is a little bit personal, but when you were growing up, did you always have that kind of a person you could go to, or was like sex a much more like open conversation in your family?
Yes and no. I didn't have a sex talk at all.
Okay.
So that was interesting. I had a pretty, a, she's not going to ever see this. I had a pretty promiscuous sister, and that was
Okay.
like, that was definitely known. Like, I would hear her and my mom have conversations. I was hearing my mom talk to her about safe sex, and she always had a boyfriend. My sister's 7 years older than me as well. So, like,
Okay.
from
That's
a
a big
young age,
difference.
yeah, from a
Yeah.
young age, I'm seeing her in full on relationships with boyfriends. And my mom would
Hmm.
be like, if your sister wants to go anywhere, you have to go with her. Like, I was that sister. I had to go to the movies and just like awkwardly sit there with her teenage boyfriend to make sure they weren't like fucking in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I feel like a lot of it came from that, but for the most, it was open in a way that I think if I had questions, my mom would have answered them. But she was
Hmm.
also very like when she found out I was having sex. I was 17, and I was like, I did it once because she definitely caught me like not having sex, but she just like saw a text message or something. But I've just always been very comfortable. I've never understood the hubbub. I
Hmm.
don't know why. I've always just been very comfortable. I know how to read a room. I'm not gonna purposely like make people uncomfortable, but when I'm especially with friends, I feel like that's the easiest way to weed them out is when you're like,
Absolutely.
I had really good sex last night.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yes.
reply to figure out
Yes.
like oh what like is you have friends that are like, oh my god, what position did you do? Or you have like, that's nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I've had that situation with a couple of older friends that I have. They're like probably in their 50s. And I had a friend who's really into shibari and she tied me up. And like after the fact, I met them for dinner and I was like, yeah, my friend tied me up today. And like, and the whole like table just went silent. And they were like, so yeah, uh, just didn't know where to go from there. I'm like, okay, let's just change the subject. Not gonna bring it up again.
And really quick, I want to say thank you to the other podcasts that are on here. I see that there's some other podcast supporters that are on listening to us. So thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the support, y'all. Um, that's so funny you say that. I had a friend that talked about how she wanted to be tied up so badly, but her partner was really nervous about it. So she like tied
Mhm.
up herself. She figured out how to tie up herself. It was like, Dad, come and get me.
Like a perfect little present.
I love that for her.
My friend is super into shibari and she actually got into it because she broke her arm. Like she had like a full crate like from doing arm wrestling. She like ended up with this is a public service announcement. Be careful when you're arm wrestling because she like snapped this whole thing and like they had to reattach some shit. But she wasn't able to use her arm for so long and was stuck at home. So she started learning how to like tie her legs and like meditate through it and use it as this like way, like mindfulness, which I thought was such a really cool approach to it. And she's like transformed this whole thing into a practice now. And she does like courses and like workshops and ties people up all the time. And I'm like, that's one way to fucking follow your passion. I mean, it's amazing.
That's incredible. I would love to talk to her. I would love to have a conversation with her because that's just so foreign to me. And I got to really choose my words now because now my mom's on this live. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Not be like fully going into my family trauma and then my mom joins. I'm like her intuition. But yeah, I know nothing about, what'd you call it?
Shibari.
Shibari. What's the difference between bondage and shibari?
I think it's a type of bondage, but the shibari part I think comes from like a Japanese practice of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so fun. I would love to learn all about that.
it's so cool. Also, it's La Virgen Blue is her. She's based out of Mexican City. I'll send it to you, but she's super cool. And she does her own like suspension too. Like she's figured out how to like create this whole suspension bar where she like hoists herself up and like creates these really amazing positions. It's really cool and fascinating. And I'm like, just tie me up anytime. I'm happy to be your doll, like whatever.
Incredible. I have so many. It's just not something that I have any knowledge about. So I love to learn. I love to learn anything and everything. I will try anything 3 times.
That's a good number. I feel like because once it's like the full experience, like you have to process it, right? And then the second time you're like,
you know what to expect.
Okay, I did this. Yeah, I did this once already, and now the third time they say is the charm, right? So
I can focus on enjoying it now. It's like the first one's learning, being uncomfortable. It's not 100% pleasure. It's figuring it out. Second is like, okay, practice run. And third is like, okay, this time it should be good. And that's when I can determine if I enjoy it or not.
Right. Yeah, that's like this live chat right now. This is the third one, so.
Well, there you go.
Perfect. Well, yeah. So, okay. So you grew up with a much more open conversation around sex. I grew up with a very closed conversation around sex. It was never something we really talked about. And both of my parents were kind of traditional in that way. They're older and they have a hard time with the generation gap, I think. So all of my opening up has really been over the last couple of years. And even since our conversation on your podcast, we started a group, like a small chat group where we could just kind of openly talk about sex. And I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. Like getting insights from different people and just being able to share like random stuff. The other night, I was like, I think a few drinks in, and I was just like, oh my God, you guys, I squirted the other night, and it was like crazy.
But you got like good advice about it. Like I was about to go to bed, so I missed half of it, and I looked at it in the morning, and I was like, way to go, y'all. Like the way people were not just rooting you on, but like giving advice and like Amazon links are being sent. And I was like, this is hilarious. I love it. But I just want to celebrate with people. If I have a good sex experience, like I want to tell someone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes a huge difference to be able to share that with someone and like share your experience.
Yeah.
And have someone not be like, oh, great, good for you. Or like, to be like, yes, I'm so glad you had an amazing orgasm the other night. Like,
yeah, or even advice on things that didn't go right. Like, oh, I tried that position, like it did not work for me, and this is why. Like, oh, have you tried putting a pillow underneath you? Like, you know, you got to get the right angle. Like, in general, there's not any sex education, let alone like pleasure education. There's that don't exist. So I think amongst friend groups that can come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm curious about so your experience with podcasting and having talked to so many different people. Are there any takeaways or like moments from the podcast or different people that you've talked to where you've been like, oh my God, I never really thought about that before, or like just something that you were like an aha moment kind of thing?
There's quite a few. I learned something just about every episode. Every episode, I think on yours, I had such a good time learning about like vulva changes based on geographic location. I was like, of course. Every other piece of your body is like, oh yeah, like Italian people have like these features. Hispanic people have these features. Like, of course, we recognize these things. I did not consider that this would also translate to genitals. So that blew my mind. So there's always something. One of my favorite episodes with Jason, I didn't know that you could use Pornhub as a social media. You can like make an account and you want to find people in your area like that have a Pornhub account, and you can see like the types of videos they watch. And
So cool.
yeah, so he's like met up with people via Pornhub account, and I had no idea there was a whole social aspect to the Pornhub website. So I always learn something or other. The first episode of season 2 with Esther, I didn't know like about breast milk. She was telling me about how breast milk is like all healing, and she puts breast milk on like her kids like ouchies, and it helps heal them. And how your breast milk, if you pump at night, you can like label it and give that to your baby at night, and it'll help them sleep.
What?
We are fucking witches. Like
Amazing.
I don't know what in the brouhaha goes into like being a parent and birth and all and breastfeeding, but it is wild.
Yeah, I haven't dug that deep, but that is so interesting to me, like to find out, because our bodies are so cyclical, and it's like we need to change, like we're so used to change, and our bodies do so much, but like it feels like it's never really put in that perspective for us. Like your body does a fucking lot. Like take care of it. It's beautiful. It does like has all these healing properties. I was shocked when I found out that like women who give birth through the vagina, the baby comes out and it like they have this huge rush of hormones. But if you have a C-section, you don't have those hormones. That rush doesn't happen because it's not like coming through you. So there's like this disconnect. And I don't know, like I've never really broken down pregnancy before, or like the whole process of having a baby and like creating a human and all of that. It's like, I feel like they gloss over all of this and they're like, you're going to get pregnant someday. It's going to be
Good
great.
luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm also a prenatal yoga instructor. So I'm in the birth space, and I go to these events with other birth workers, and I've learned so much because I'm good about the body and understanding what your body needs in regards to like stretching and pain and things like that in regards to like your back. But I've learned so much about, like, I didn't know a pelvic floor therapist was a thing. So there's just so many, and then they were all sharing birth stories, and I've learned a lot. I don't think I'm gonna have babies, but if I ever do, I feel like a little bit more prepared because I've learned. Yeah, there's things to ask for, things they don't tell you about, and everyone's figuring things out as they go, and then like they're super prepared for their second baby. But it's wild. It's wild. Yeah. That's a whole other topic, but like hospitals are wild, man.
Yeah. Agreed. I don't know. I feel like there's this there's like a romanticism that kind of goes along with having the baby, and I feel like the hospital takes kind of all that away in some aspect of it. But besides all of that, there's like a whole dichotomy of belief of like where you should have your baby and all of that. But I've met a few doulas in my like travelings, and they are the warmest people, and I'm like, I think that what they do is incredible, just breaking it down from like a more almost like human perspective in some ways.
Yeah, I love a doula. I love knowing everything you can do for yourself. No one teaches you that. I think, that people will go to Lamaze and they'll learn a few things, but not everyone goes to Lamaze. Not everyone can afford it. Not everyone has access. So learning what you can do for yourself and for your body and for your baby, like, we need more education.
Yeah. I want to go back to something really quick. So you said that you probably don't want to have kids, and I feel similarly. Was there like a point in your life where you came to that conclusion, or?
Yeah. So with Adam and I, it was very like I've never pictured myself pregnant. I was like, do you ever
Mhm.
think of me having a baby? And he's like, no. He's like, I always see us. Anytime I picture children around, I think of them older.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, we would make better mentors than we would parents. I don't ever picture myself pregnant. I have no torso. I cannot. I should not. I am 4'11", and my torso is like, it's just like this, it's here to here. Like, I have
Okay.
none. I
Okay.
don't know if you've ever seen a short non-torso person with a baby. They look insane. Um, it's like the equivalent, and they're like, pugs should not have babies. Um,
I can't wait.
so
I hope that we meet someday in person because like I'm like 5'10", so we are quite a different
well,
it'll
hopefully
be
I can see you in Tucson.
yeah. That would be super cool. That would be
Yeah.
super cool.
Um, so we came to the conclusion because I've always thought about fostering. I've always been very adamant about fostering and doing what you can.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we're at is when we're in our 30s and we're self-sustainable. We also don't want to foster if it requires us relying on like a government check. Like
Right.
I don't think if you're only fostering for a check that you should be fostering. So I want
Yeah.
to make sure that I can provide everything I can for this human while they're with me. They might be with me for a few weeks, they might be with me for a few months, and I want to make
Mhm.
sure that I can give them everything they need.
Yeah,
And if
just
that's
the
like,
bare minimum.
yeah, and if that's
Mhm.
nuggets of knowledge and past experiences and being very open and honest,
Mhm.
um, I want to make those small impacts. And maybe that will mean I'm going to end up having like 30 kids like at my doorstep on Thanksgiving one year because
That
we
would
love
be so cool.
I would love to leave a lasting impression. And who knows if any of these fostering experiences turns into adoption, like I'm not against that.
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to like a live-in child, like a permanent. But yeah, I think I just like I'm a really good aunt. Like I'm a really great aunt. My nephew comes to me about everything, and he's constantly like, "Sorry, mom." She's like, "Grandma won't tell me. My mom won't tell me." And I'm like, "I'll tell you. Let's talk about it." He was with me when Roe v. Wade got turned.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
oh, and I was pissed, and I was going through it. And he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I will tell you what's going on."
Mhm.
I'm very light with him, and he asked me really great questions. And he's like, "Well, what about adoption?" And I'm like, absolutely, let's talk about it. This is what's going on with adoption and why there's some opportunities there and why it may not always be feasible. And he's like, okay. And so he's taking it all in. And he was asking really good questions. He's 12. He's turning 13 in October,
Mhm.
so a good age to understand. And
Yeah.
and we're all like that. My mom and I, like, none of us in our family are religious, but my sister's dating somebody that's religious. So the
Mhm.
kid's going to church, and I think he got baptized. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mom, if you're still here. I think he got baptized or something. And we were talking about it, and I was like, but you understand that, like, we don't believe in Jesus? And he's like, yeah, it's all right. And I'm like, great. As long as you understand. I respect you if you want to go to church and you want to have some faith like that. You just
Mhm.
got to respect the other people too that don't have. Oh, she said no. Okay, he's not baptized. But he is like going to church and such. I think he wears like a cross necklace too. And I'm like, okay. But he's like, no, I understand. Not everyone's going to believe the same thing, and that's okay. And I'm like, good,
Yeah.
good. So I make a good, long story short, I make a good aunt, and that's why I would want to foster and not have kids.
I love that. I love that. I agree. I'm definitely more the aunt type. I'm like, yes, let me spoil these kids, but also like play with them, impart knowledge on them, and like be there for them when, when the time is right. And I love that. I really like hanging, like I love kids. I love hanging out with kids, but I love giving them back to the people that they belong to.
Yeah, I like to wake up when I feel like waking up.
hmm
And I already have so many pets, and I already feel I feel a little bogged down by how many pets I have. I already have to find like a sitter and a whole thing when it comes to traveling. I could not imagine
hmm
You do with kids.
Have to find a sitter every time you want to leave.
Yeah, or I could take him with me and I want to be like, I'm going to
Yeah,
take you with me on my vacation. Maybe I
yeah.
would. I don't know. Adam's parent, he's the only child, and they took him every, he's every
That was my life.
anniversary. Yeah,
Mhm.
they brought you along.
Yep. Yeah. Everywhere. My parents still to this day, like I'm in Mexico now, living here part time, and like still my parents are like, we're planning a vacation like next summer. Will you be there?
Oh, that's so
And
funny.
I'm like, I don't know, probably not. Like I'm in this other life thing right now. I have to kind of like do this and figure this out. And then but it's funny, they're like, when are you coming home? Like when are you gonna be there? And I see them once in a while now, but mostly we have like live chats like this kind of really.
So funny. Well, speaking of vacations and sex and such, my mom
Mhm.
just went out of the country for a dick appointment. So I'm excited to hear more about that. I think it's like her first
Interesting.
time having sex with someone different than my stepdad in a very long time. So she was all
Cool.
nervous about it. But yeah, she got to get on two planes. She went to an island outside of Panama. She had to get on
Awesome.
two planes to get there, two planes to get back. And I'm very excited to hear about it because she's known this person for like 20 years or something. They used to work together.
Hmm.
Um, very intrigued. Let me
Are you
putting
gonna have
you
her on
on
the
that.
podcast to talk about it, or
Probably. Uh,
have you had your mom on the podcast before?
no, my mom's brought it up, and I've been like, I don't know. I've had to break a few things with her where I'm like, it got brought up a time or two. She visited me, and it kind of
Mhm.
hit me. I was like, Mom, do you even know when I started having sex? She was like, no. She's like 17, and I'm like, no. Request to join, just to put my mom on here. Um, yeah, no, I had to break it to her. I was like, no, Mom, I've been having sex since I was 15. So she's still learning a lot. She's listened to the podcast a time or two, and she thinks
Mhm.
it's fun. She's like, you can, I'll be on the podcast. But yeah, I would love to talk to her about her Panama experience. It's a whole thing, but
I think that would be really illuminating, like really interesting to hear about. And from your mom's perspective too, like I feel like there's a lot of this conversation happening in like our age range, and I love the idea of hearing about it from like a slightly older age range, like different. Like there's a woman that I want to have on the podcast who I love. She's super cool. She's doing a lot of work for like pleasure and menopause, which like we never talk about. And I'm like, yes, we need to be talking about this stuff. I'm like in my 30s and I'm not ready for menopause, but I just found out from my 40 something year old friend who was like, yeah, perimenopause is a thing. And I was like, oh, okay, it's coming sooner than I thought. All right, well, I guess I better start getting prepared.
being a woman is rough. I watched a really good video the other day that broke down the days of the month and like where your hormones are at. And I thought it was just like, I feel fine or I'm on my period. But like, no, like my hormones are are everywhere all the time.
Yeah,
I thought if I wasn't on my period, then my hormones are all the same. But no, it's like every 4 to 5 days, something different is happening in your body, and then you're doing it every single month. And I was like, this is
yeah.
why I'm tired all the time.
Yeah, right. Our bodies are doing like so much more than we ever even consider. And I tried to track that, like even with the period tracker apps, and I'm just like, okay, so like this day I might be feeling this, and like this week I might be feeling this, but I never found an app that truly incorporated everything that I wanted to, and they were always seemed to be more geared towards getting pregnant. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I kind of want like I want like a period tracker app that like takes into account that I enjoy having sex and like what kinds of orgasms am I having or like am I masturbating today? Like I'd like to request that.
Well, it's funny you bring this up. I'm actually in like version 2. I've been working on, I've created a few drafts of a self-guided, I'm calling it the body book. It's a self-guided sex book where you can track
Cool.
your partner experiences, your private experiences with yourself, for masturbation. It's going to have a period tracker in it.
Awesome.
And I'm hoping to have them done so I can sell them in Tucson for the Tucson Erotic Art Show. So that's coming.
Super cool.
The little self-guided book, it's going to have on there, like, if you came or not, and you can just, whether it's you tracking partners or even just like experiences with your one partner, I would like to track my experiences with Adam so I can figure out like what made that one great. Let me look at my notes.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I feel like, how long have you guys been together?
7 years.
Okay. So I've been together with Forrest for like 11 years now. Now, I don't know if you do this, but I find like I look back on some of our early years and I'm like, excuse me, remember when you used to do this? And then like I try to remind like something like going like, like something like this. And he'd be like, no, I don't remember doing that. But like our sex is so different now, 11 years in, than it was in the first couple of years. And like I remember, I'll tell him like, I remember you used to like sit down between my legs and like look at my vulva and then like play around down there and just like touch things and like see how it felt. And I would just lay there and like tell him what was like how it was and if it felt good. And I was like, I want you to look at my vulva like that again.
That's amazing. I have not done that. I need to do that. I like your inspiration station. I'll tell you what, Alice. That's a good one. I haven't explicitly just done. It feels very good in an educational way because I'm also the second woman that Adam's ever been with, and I feel like the first one doesn't count. He was just in college and was like, let's get this over with." And I always ask him about it, and he's like, "I don't remember her name. I don't know. It was just a party. It was a one-time thing." And I was like, "Okay," because I love stories. And he has got nothing for me. But yeah, it does. It changes so much. I've done that with a few positions where I'm like, oh, we haven't done this position in so long. I love this position so much. So yeah, we need to do a little sit down moment. It's funny. He went with me to a gynecologist appointment when we were dating after like a year because I don't like driving, period. but especially in like downtown Houston and like the medical district, there's all these parking garages. I'm gonna get lost. So he's like, "Oh, let's go with you," and he was very comfortable about it. And he went with me, and he went in the room with me, and my doctor kicked him out. She put a curtain. She like drew a curtain. She was like, "You're not watching," and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." And then afterwards, she kicked him out and was like, "Hey, how are you? How are things?" And I'm like, "Good." She's like, "Who is this guy?" And I was like, "This is my boyfriend." And she's like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, everything's fine." She was really concerned and told me how that's a sign of domestic violence that then don't let women go to the gynecologist alone because they don't want them to speak up about anything if they're being sexually assaulted by someone, if they're being pimped out. So I was like, "Oh," I was like, "No, that's a good to know, but not the case here." But she was very skeptical. And it's funny, at that point I'd been going to her for like 3 or 4 years, and she was really good at acting like she remembered who I was. You see her once a year. I'm like, "I doubt you know who I am." But she would though. She'd be like, "Oh my God, how's college? You're year 2, right? Oh my God, how is that going?" And I think it's because I went to the same one as my mom. So maybe that's why.
I used to go to the same gyno as my mom. Did they ever tell you anything like, your vulva looks the same or like some random like insights?
No, I would have laughed so hard though. Like that's information I don't need to know. But but no, she was so. And I moved away. I was very sad because she even like went to a different hospital, and I followed her there. She's great. Shout out to Dr. Baez. She was great. But no, she had like a long conversation with me, and I was like, "I appreciate you so much. This is amazing information to know. I'm not being abused." He truly is excited and curious. He was he was like, we left. He's like, he's like, "I understand why she drew the privacy curtain, but I was a little disappointed." He's like, "I really wanted to see what was going on," and I was like, "I can reenact it for you, but I know exactly what's going on down there."
That's too funny. That's too funny. I don't think Forrest has ever come to an appointment with me, but I mean, he's been, but he'll sit in the waiting room or something like that. It's never been like in the room with me. So
Okay.
that's interesting. Hmm.
He loves stuff like that. Adam's super
Yeah.
body and very oriented about stuff like that.
Hmm. Very cool. Very cool.
Men, bring him in, bring him into the room. Let him see what's up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, have you ever done or have you ever had an ultrasound while you were at the gynecologist?
Uh-uh.
I hadn't either until I went to the gynecologist in Malaysia, and apparently it's like normal practice in a lot of other places as well. And I had no idea. But a friend of mine said that she also had a similar experience, except that the only time they used it was to see if there was like an IUD issue, and then they like removed her IUD. But I was like, imagine how much they could actually look at and figure out just by looking inside as an ultrasound during the like a regular process. Because when they told me, I was like, wait, I'm not pregnant. Like, what's the point of this? Why do we need to do that? And they're like, just to make sure that everything's good in there. And I'm like, oh, okay, like never experienced this before, but okay. Okay.
Yeah, that is that's a good one. I feel like we're just cheap down here.
Hmm.
Because that means
Hmm.
they're going to have like an ultrasound machine in each room potentially, and it takes more time.
Yeah. You got to
No.
drink a lot of water beforehand. It's like a whole
Oh,
thing.
oh, I didn't know this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister was pregnant when I was like in seventh grade, so I don't know anything about
Mhm.
ultrasound. That's the only way I would know. Very cool. And I feel like we skimp out on a lot over here in the States.
Yeah. Definitely with the sexual health stuff. Like, even when I went to, like, my first gynecologist was like a holistic gynecologist, which I'm not actually sure what that means in the gynecology world because she still prescribed me medication and like all this other stuff. But I guess she would talk about like my vitamins and minerals and like talk about some of that stuff with me more. But I don't know. I've lived in like a lot of different places, so I've experienced gynecologists all over, and the practice is so different across the countries. It's just like country to country basis, everyone's got their own thing going on. Um, but I
Yeah, we
don't
need to
know. I
have
feel
you back
like
on the podcast because I want to hear about like every, I'm like,
we
prepare
could do
ahead
a
of time,
breakdown.
make a list. Yeah, we're going to talk
Absolutely.
about each one.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. It's interesting, very
Yeah.
interesting. Um, But what was I going to say? Yeah, they're like, I've had just a totally different experience everywhere I've gone. And only recently have I seen more like video footage and stuff. Like they'll put a camera inside now and like you can see the cervix and like they'll show you like what's going on around it and like how it opens and things like that. And I don't know, only now I'm like really starting to learn more about my own body. So I don't know.
That's very cool. Yeah, I need to be better about it. We talked a little bit about it on the podcast, but I don't like go and look at my vulva. I've gotten better about it, I feel. Because I stopped getting waxed, which was really great. I kept having labia lifts when I would get waxed, and that is painful.
What does that mean?
That means like some of the skin on my inner labia was coming off. So like a light layer, like she waxed me, and I was like, oh, am I bleeding? Like it was so painful, but it was like a crazy sting. It was very small, and I was like, I need you to
Mhm.
stop for a second. Something is going on. Like I'm in pain. And she looks. She's
Mhm.
like, yeah, you had a little bit of a labia lift. I was like, excuse me? She's like, yeah, just a little piece, a very small, small piece. You're
I didn't even
fine.
know that was a thing. I thought they were joking when they said that they could rip your lips off.
No, 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 no. Especially those that in like more of the inner area.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. And that happened a second time. It happened the second time, and I was like, hey, don't forget this happened. Can we
Yeah.
not let that happen? And
Hmm.
she's like, yeah. She's like, when it comes to like that inner area, I'll just tweeze it. And I was like, Grant, still happened. Um,
Wow.
I just,
Okay.
I just don't do well with waxing because I also had the worst ingrowns ever.
Yeah, I've been experiencing that too with it recently. I do it every like few months usually. And I always feel like I really love the growing stage. Like I actually really enjoy like the smooth and then like the small hair growth as it comes in. I think it looks cool. I mean, I don't know, whatever. But
5 o'clock shadow.
yeah, exactly. Oh my God,
When
I'm
I
dying.
get a goatee down there, I'm so into
Yeah,
it.
yep. Yeah, so I've been doing that, but I feel the same. Like I keep getting ingrowns, but I don't know, I started to prefer the waxing over shaving. So I'm not sure if there's like another like laser hair removal. I don't know, is that like worth looking into for the pubic area?
People get it. I would get it for my bikini area because I
Yeah.
like bush. I wouldn't want it to like all be gone. I like my bush. It makes me feel like a woman. It makes me feel established. Like I
Hmm.
belong to be here. I have
Yeah.
hair.
Take me
Um,
seriously. I have a
yeah,
bush.
it's my business bush.
Yes.
So, and I am like a mullet bush. Like I like a top bush and like nothing underneath.
Oh, okay. I like that too. I haven't ever gotten that. Like, can you get that at the shop? Will they do that?
I'm gonna ask because I would just get a shape when I would go. I'd get like a triangle or something.
Okay.
But I don't even want to shave. I still want more of my like front. I just want
Hmm.
like my bikini area because that's always
Hmm.
a vibe. More power to you if you're into it. It makes me feel like I need to get my life together if I have underwear on. They're just like really intense side.
Yes.
So
I
I'm
feel
like,
you.
not the biggest fan.
Hmm.
So I want to keep like my whole front bikini area and underneath because the underneath is just so nice when it just comes to life, and I enjoy it for sex. I like to be like smooth down there.
Me
Um,
too. Yeah, I
so
like that.
yeah, this mullet minge.
I like it. I really like it. I think I'm gonna have to try to ask her that because I feel the same. Like it's the bikini area that I have the hardest time with. Like I just I don't mind the hair as long as it's like not coming out of my bikini, like literally.
Yeah,
I have a friend who is like fully doesn't shave, wax, nothing, and it's like I'm impressed. She has such or they have such confidence. Wow, I'm terrible. They have such confidence on them, and they're just like even in photo shoots, they'll be like, are you editing my leg hair off? And be like, please don't do that. It's part of my body. And I'm like, yes, amazing. Okay, like someone that's not me, but someone who can do that is amazing. Like I'm impressed. Very impressed.
that is. I love that so much. When I had boudoir photos taken, I had to tell her to put my moles back on. She got rid of I have 2 moles.
Uh-huh.
And I brought it up. I was like, "Hey, can you put my moles back?" And she's like, "Which ones?" And so I had to like send her a picture of my face and like the 2 on my face. I'm like, they're my Marilyns. I've got Marilyns and I'm into it."
Yeah.
And oh, she's like, "I'm sorry." She's like, when people have makeup on and stuff, sometimes I can't tell what's a blemish and what's not. I'm like, "That's fair."
Hmm.
But she told me, she said, ever since that experience, I ask now with all my clients, like, are there any beauty marks or freckles or anything that you want me to keep or I should be aware of when I'm editing to like not edit them out? So I was
Hmm.
like, trailblazer.
Way to go. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I studied photography in school and like the editing people that I worked with and like edited for, and some of the editing stuff that they do is just like pure, it's so intense. Like they go so deep on the edits and you're like, is that even the same person? Like, did we just change the way this person looks completely just for an aesthetic? Is that right? Like, no. So
Yeah.
it makes me happy to know that like the editing has calmed down quite a bit in certain instances. I mean, TikTok still gives us like a smoothing just to be on there. So
I
that's a
love a
whole
smoothing. I have a smoothing on right now. I'm not gonna lie to anyone here. I have a smoothing on.
love it.
It just makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I it just makes me feel better. I have no problem with like a small edit, like a filter or something. Like
Yeah.
my mom, if she's still here, my mom has an intense phone where it's
Hmm.
like 10 edit like on your face, and I've been like, Mom, I don't look like that. You need to take that shit off. So I don't, yeah, I don't mind like a smoothing or like an enhancement. I don't go in and like change. It's really intense. I've seen people like change their eyebrow shape or change. I'm like, no, like if I'm gonna do anything, I'll just enhance whatever is on me. Like just change the lighting or something. No shame. I've done that a time or two. Do that all the time. But I won't change my body. I know better. I'm like, no. For one, I would do it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Like if you don't know what you're doing, editing your body is rough, and I don't know how people can do it. But also, I just know better. I'm like, no, I'm not. People are gonna meet me, and like, I'm not. I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm gonna post a photo in a bikini. Like, I'm not going to. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm not trying to change it all up. Like that's a lot. I'll enhance my face, but I can't do. I'm not going to touch the body. Is this what it looks like?
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to change that. And I agree with you on the like facial edits or like smoothing a little bit. Like I love that. I'm into it. I think that the body contouring and like cutting things in or like making celebrities like is like a whole other story. Like that is an extreme, I think.
Yeah, I feel like one is an enhancement and then one's like a complete lie. Because in my head, I'm like, well, I don't know what it is. You ever look in the bathroom, you ever look in the mirror and you're like, I look so good. And you take a photo and you're like, it does not look, I look better than this. So I brought that up to Adam. I'll show him. I'm like, look, I like when I learned how to do it, he was like, you look the same. Like I was showing him before and after. He's like, yeah, but if anything, you just, now you look like how you feel in regards to like not being oily. Like that's what it is. I take away my acne and I'm not oily. And that's usually the only editing I do is I just mattify myself a little and then take out like a blemish or two. But
yeah, that's how I'm. Yeah. I've just started like trying to let things go. Like even today, I'm just like fully no makeup and I don't wear a lot of makeup to begin with, but I'm like breaking out because I'm getting my period and I'm just like, fuck it. Like, let's just do it. Whatever. Like trying to be raw and like, let it just be who I am, you know, like whatever. But I definitely sit there and I'm like, damn, I can really see that. Or like, I should have just like put a little filter on or like a little bit of something. But that's the whole process, right? Just getting used to being us.
oh yeah. I remind myself too, like if Alicia Keys can like straight up go to the Grammys with no makeup on, like you're good. I don't wear a lot of makeup either. I love my eyelashes. I'll wear mascara. If I'm gonna wear anything, like I have no face makeup on, just have mascara and lipstick on just because I was like feeling myself. I was like, I'm gonna put earrings on. Who is she? But if I don't wear any makeup, I'm not gonna lie, I look exactly like my dad. So when I don't wear makeup and I'm oily like him too, I'm like, gosh, it's Fidel in a wig. I look just like my dad. So I like to wear a little makeup so I feel like my own person. Because the Campbell gene is strong. Like my brothers and myself, like my brothers have a different mom, but it's still like this crazy Campbell gene where we all look exactly the same in the face. So and I'm fine. I'd rather like not look like a man. I always feel like I look like a man. There wasn't like my grandma did. Oh, thank you. I do look like my grandma though. I saw a photo of her when she was 17. And I posted online. People were like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "No, that's I look just like." So I realized I don't look like my dad. I look like my grandmother.
There you go.
Yeah. There it
is. I had a question for you. Oh yeah, we were talking about selfies, and somebody asked me this like this week. They're like, "How often do you take selfies?" Or like, "Do you take selfies every day?" And I had to think about it because I was like, no, actually, like I don't take a lot of selfies regularly. It's not like something that comes to me regularly, but in the process of doing this project and like trying to open myself up more, I started taking more selfies of myself, even like in a more erotic way or just like see myself in a sexier light. And it was empowering, like to take the selfies, like to see myself like that and be like, damn, I took that picture and I look fabulous.
That's amazing.
Do you have the same, like, how often do you take selfies? Do you feel the same when you take them? And does it make you feel empowered?
It takes a specific thing for me to take a selfie. I don't take I took a selfie when I was at the bar the other day and I posted it. I was quite proud of that one because my boobs look good.
Mhm.
But I don't take a lot. But I was looking through my, I was like, when's the last time I took a photo of myself? Like before the one I took last week, I hadn't taken a photo of myself in like 8 months.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't take a lot of pictures of myself. Like Adam will take pictures of me.
Mhm.
Um, I try and take pictures when I'm with friends, but we usually forget. I don't take a lot of pictures of myself. I took a
You,
selfie or two when I was in Boston, so I lie. I took a few selfies, but it's with Adam. If I'm traveling, we'll take
yeah.
pictures together and take a few selfies with like where we are. But when I'm by myself, like just as a solo individual, I really pick it apart. I was never good
Mhm.
at that. When we first got iPhones and we're all taking
Mhm.
mirror selfies, I've never been good at it. I
Same.
could never get the angle right. I'm always like too far away or I'm cutting my face. I could never figure out the science behind it. So I avoid it at all costs.
Okay.
I should be better about it. I love my body. I like a video. I'll take a video of my body.
Ooh, okay. Do
Yeah.
you ever do like a sexy shoot or something with Adam? Do you guys ever do you have like if you're like, I feel great today, can you take a picture of me in such and such?
So hard. Adam is the worst with angles. Where I'm like, you're adding 15 pounds to me right now. Like, why are you taking it that? I'm like, hold it here. Like, he does not have like an Instagram thumb when it
Mhm.
comes to taking pictures of me. I always look way worse in my mind. I'm like, my body looks insane. He'll take a full picture of me when I'm not paying attention with me laying on my side and I'm just like relaxing and I'm like, oh, I'm not like angled up. I got to be angled up.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
got to be in a specific position so
Mhm.
everything lays right. And he's like, "You look so cute," and I'm like, "Look like a bag of potatoes." Like, we gotta be better about this. So I wish we'll get there. I take a lot. I have a friend that I help pretty much weekly. She's a boudoir photographer. She's the one that edited out my moles at one time, and I help her with a lot of her photo shoots. And she's like, I need to do a shoot for you. So I need to do another one because my last time I took boudoir was almost 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm about to turn 27, so it's been almost four
Damn.
years.
Yeah, your birthday's like next week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's next Saturday.
Hell yeah. Happy birthday early.
Thanks. I'm excited. 27 is supposed to be the great year, I think. Either that, like it's supposed to be like the greatest year or the year I'm gonna die. So the greats die at
Either
27.
way, make it a big one.
Either way, icon. Icon status if I don't make it out of 27, that's when you know I was really good.
Yep, absolutely. Well, for everyone's sake, I hope you do make it past 27
Thank you. I
for
need to
many
get
years, many years.
Oh, 100%. I still have to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
After that I can go, but until then I'm holding on.
After we meet each other, we can die. I think that's all right.
We're ridiculous. I love us.
I love it too. I love us. And the chat that we started is so great. I've been really enjoying that. We're at
Yeah.
like 53 minutes. This has been fabulous. And I like
Sure.
don't necessarily want to stop it, but I also don't want to take up your whole day.
No, you're good. I'm so happy that you had me on. And yeah, anyone listening, reach out to myself or Alice if you have a Twitter and you want to join our fun Twitter chat. It's a really
Yeah.
safe space. It's a good time. Talk about all the things.
Yeah,
And
like the other day we were talking about dog blankets and how they're amazing waterproof sex blankets. So I was like just Googling dog blankets for a whole like night.
what I love about that is that you're gonna have to like compare yourself to like dog sizes, of being like, this is for large dogs, and you're like,
Yeah,
yes.
I need the Great Dane size.
You give me like those really cute like if you were a dog, I feel like you'd be like an Italian greyhound, but
Oh
like
my,
not a mini one, like a regular
okay,
size one. I think those are
cool.
racing dogs, right? Are those
Yeah, they
greyhounds?
are. They are.
Yeah, that's what you give me. You give me like this elegance. That's the kind of dog
Thanks.
you'd be if you were a dog. Just thought you
Thank
should know.
you. I appreciate that. That's like high praise. I definitely consider or greyhounds in general to be like beautiful dogs. I think they're really cool. I had my bangs like grew out so long before, and they were to like here, what are they, Afghans or something, who have the like long silky hair. I just took this picture of this Afghan that had these amazing bangs, and I was like, took my picture with my bangs down to here and then put it next to this Afghan, and I was like, I think it's time to cut my bangs. This is me looking for new
Yeah.
hairstyles. Like, I'm checking out the dog section.
Kennel Club, fierce, giving real puppy bowl.
Yep, yep.
Alrighty,
That's
Miss
awesome.
Thing. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited that
Thank
I can talk
you.
to you again, and thank you for doing all of the things you've been doing this week for Sexual Health Awareness Week.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was an absolute pleasure. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you and just like plug the podcast one more time before we get out of here?
Yeah, it's Bottled Up Bitches. You can stream it anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. Bottled Up Bitches here on Instagram. As you can see, it's Bottled Up Talk on Twitter, because although they allow nudity, they don't like the word bitch.
That's a weird one.
Actually, you know what? No. I think I ran out of characters. I think it would have had to been Bottled Up Bitches, but no E in the bitches. So it would have been like, and I was like, I can't have a typo in my life.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I was one character short of being Bottled Up Bitches.
Gotcha.
You win some, you lose some, but you can follow us on there. Dream Generation, well, good morning.
Good morning.
It's
Thanks
okay,
for
y'all.
popping on.
Yeah, I think you're gonna like post some of this, right, on your little
Yep.
Insta. So y'all
Yep.
can
I'm
rewatch
gonna
it
post
there
the
if you
whole
missed
thing.
it.
Cool, cool,
Love
cool.
it.
Awesome. Thank you again so much, Rhianna. And maybe in the future we can have you and producer man Adam on at the same time and have like a full conversation. And I mean, this was a full conversation, but we'll keep it going.
We love a perspective. We need, you know what
Yeah.
we need? We need more white male perspectives.
Agreed.
They are underappreciated for too long.
Agreed. Agreed. Beauty back to the penis too. We're gonna keep that one going.
I love that. Everyone loved that. That was the big takeaway from your episode. Was like, yes,
It was.
penis power.
I'm taking that to heart, truly. I'm like focusing a little more energy on the penises now too. So it's cool. Really cool. Anyway, I love you so much. Thank you so much again. This is fabulous. I hope you have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.